Welcome back to our second episode for Access. Yes, in the previous tutorial I showed you how to create a table and I gave you a brief introduction about Microsoft Access as a package. So in this tutorial I'm going to continue from where I stopped. If you've not watched the first video, I would request you to first go back and watch it, then after you can come back to the second part. Okay, we created the departments table and then the employee table as a piece of demonstration. Now we are going to go ahead and create a relationship between these two tables. If at all an employee belongs to a particular department, how do we create that relationship when it comes to Access? So for you to create a relationship, you have to go to Database Tools. Then look for Relationships, click on it, it will open this window. Then it will be displaying all the different tables you've created so far. For my case, I have two tables. So I'm going to select those two tables, the tables that I'm interested in to get a relationship for. Now I'm interested in both the tables, so I'll go ahead and double click, or you single click on one and then you select add. For this one, I'm just going to double click, then it will be added automatically. So you can see that my tables have been added to the relationships form, so I can go ahead and close this. For cases whereby maybe you forget to add a table and you can no longer access that window that displays the different tables, under design, for example, if you're into another tab, under design, okay, you look for where there is show table, then it will display this window again. So if you want to hide any table, if you want to remove any table, you right click on that table, then you click on hide. If you want to add that table back, just go ahead and click on show table, then departments table. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to go ahead and create a relationship between the two tables. An employee falls under a department, meaning that if there is no department, the employee cannot exist. So we want to inform Access that for an employee to exist, there must be a department where that employee belongs to. So an employee shares the department's ID. Okay, so this column department represents a department ID here. So where a primary key, now the department's ID, where is unique, okay, the department's table or any record in the department's table is uniquely identified by the primary key ID. Okay, and now if this field happens to be an attribute or a column in another table, then it becomes a secondary key. So if we are to create a relationship between the two tables, we hold and drag the primary key to where it happens to be a foreign key. So I'll drop it to departments table. At this point here, so it is matching the ID and the department in the employee table. Now, if I want to inform Access that, you know what, these two tables are rated in such a way that an employee belongs to a department. So if the department is not there, the employee cannot exist. I'll go ahead to enforce referential integrity. When I enforce referential integrity and I click create, now it is showing relationship must be on the same number of fields with the same data types, meaning that for my columns here that I'm trying to relate of different data types, I'll go ahead and rectify that, then I'll come back and work on my relationships. Now that I want to edit one of these tables, I'll first close this relationship without saving it. I'll close, I'll say no. So let me just go back to confirm. In the employee table, when I go to design view, my department's ID, okay, I'll just put that so that it is clear. My department's ID is in text. So I have to make sure that even the department's table, the ID is in text. So I'll save this and maybe close. So when it comes to the department's table, when I go to the design view, see, so I've been matching a text with the auto number, so Access cannot accept that. Let me also just rename this to make it clear. I'll call this text as well. so that these ones that the IDs can be manually entered. I'm going to save my changes and then close this table. So let's go back and create a relationship again. Click on relationship, add this also. Add it the second time. Okay, close. I don't want this the second time. Go ahead and hide it. So I need this. So I'll drag the department's ID, which is the primary key that connects the two tables, to where it happens to be a foreign key. Now matching the two columns, I'll enforce referential integrity, then click on create. How do you be certain that these tables have been created with referential integrity? When you see the nature of the relationship. Now these two icons here, or these two symbols, the one and the infinite symbol, mean that an employee belongs to only one department, and a department can have many employees. So this is a one-to-many relationship between the two tables. So I'll go ahead and save this and then close it. Now that we've seen how to create a relationship between the two tables, let's go ahead and create forms. Remember I told you forms enable us to input data into our tables. So if you want to create a form for a particular table, you select the table. When the table is highlighted with orange, then that means it is the selected table. So let me go ahead and create a table, a form for departments table. I'll select the departments table from the left menu, and then I'll go to create and look for where there is form, and I click on form. Not form design, not blank form, but form. When you click on form, here is a description below. Create a form that lets you enter information into for one record at a time. Okay, so I'll go ahead and create a form. When I click on form, it will automatically populate the different columns that are in the table that I selected here. So for this case, I select the department's table and it is only having ID and the name. So I'll just go ahead and right click on this to rename it and even save. So I'll name it from department's table. So by default, it names it the table name of which it has been populated from. So I'll call this form. And then I click on OK. So if I want to manipulate my form, if I want to make changes now, let's say if I want to change this title from department's table to department's form, I'll right click and go to design view. So I can be able to remove this and call it form. Okay. So I'll right click and then click on save. Alright, now that our form has been saved, we can be able to use this form to input data into our table. Now, if we are in the design view and want to use this form to input data into our department's table, what we do is to right click and go to form view. So it is from the form view whereby you can be able to input data into the form. So when you are in the form view, this cursor becomes active, it starts blinking. That's one way you can confirm that now you're in the form view. Now when you're in the form view, there are buttons down here and they get activated. There is this first record that takes you back to the very first record. There is this last record that takes you to the last record. There's this new blank record that helps you to save and then clear the form for you to input a new record. There's this next record that takes you to the next record and then the previous record button. So I'll go ahead and call this department 001. Then I'll call it HR. Okay, HR department. Then now, if I've entered that and I want to save it and go to add a second one, I'll click on new blank record. Click save. So it has saved it and it has cleared the form, so I can be able to enter a second department. Call it 002 IT department. Then I also click new blank record. So the new blank record saves that and then it clears the form. So here it shows you the number of records you've so far entered. So it is telling me 3 out of 3. So it is also telling me that it is also recognizing this as another record. So that's why it is saying 3 out of 3, but I've so far entered 2, and now it is expecting this third one. So if I'm to open my table for department, I am able to see the 2 records I've added. Now one thing you have to note, if I add some data into this table when it is open, let's say department 003, I call it finance department. If I save this to new blank record, that will not be showed here unless I close this table and then I open it again. So don't think your things are not working if at all the table has been open. So that's one way how we can create a form and then add records to a table using that form. So let's go ahead and create a form for our employee table. We click on the table, then go to create and then form. So we shall go ahead and save this, right click and save, so that we can change it from employee table to employee form. After saving that, we can go ahead and also change this title. For us to manipulate, I told you, you go to design view, then we remove this and call it form. So I'll save that, then I'll input some employees under different departments. So what I'll do here is to go to the form view. In the form view, I'll have employee 1, employee number, I can call it 001. The name is John. Date of birth, so when I click here, it has a calendar for me. I'll click on that. Salary is this, and then the department's ID. Now this is what happens if you enforce referential integrity. If you try to put an employee with a department's ID that does not exist, that record will not be saved. So let me try to put in, remember we have up to 003, so let me put in 004, and I try to save that record. So Access will not accept it. It's telling you cannot add or change a record because a rated record is required in the table departments table, meaning that I cannot add this record with an ID, okay, that is a primary key somewhere and it does not exist. But when I put 001 that exists, we expect Access to accept our record to be added. So this employee John has been added to our table. So that's how the relationship works or affects your records, meaning that John is under department as 001, which department 001 is HR department. Okay, so that being said, now let me go ahead and show you how to draft a query from our departments table. I'll demonstrate using the departments table. So what I'll do here is to select the table which is department. Okay, is to go to create. When I go to create, I'll look for where there are queries here. So I'll click on query design. So the query design will also open up and also show this window here where you want to select, where I have to select the table that I'm interested in. You can design a query out of a query, you can design a query out of a table, you can design a query out of both. So right now I'm interested in creating a query out of a table because it's only tables that we are having. So I'll select departments table, I click on add, so I'll close this. So this table has been put here. Okay, all right, now I'll select the ID and a name. So when it comes to this field down here, it has field, table, sort, show, criteria, and then all. Field shows the field name of the table, and then table shows the corresponding table or the master table for that field you selected here. Then sort can be that sort my query according maybe in descending or ascending order basing on that column. Okay. Then for the show, whatever you check for or where you're seeing a tick, when I run my query, that field will be displayed. But if I uncheck this, it means when I run my query, the department's name will not be showed in the query. So the show means that whatever I've checked for should be showed in my query when it runs. So the criteria shows the if, okay, sorry, it shows the, can I call it a filter by, it gives you the logic. Okay, if I want to draft a query, let's say for this department basing on names, if I say I want to draft, I want to get only the departments that are having HR, just as an example, that means that is my criteria. Okay, so when I put here HR, okay, when I run this, it is only supposed to show departments that are having the name as HR. So for us to run our query, I'll go ahead to click on run. Okay, so now my query is empty. Reason being, when it comes to the departments table, I have no name called HR. But when I go ahead and add HR department, then it will be matching and it will be showing HR department. So let's go back to our query under design view, and then we add this to department. Okay, so run this again. Now you see it is showing this because this field is matching. So the queries are like search, and the criteria is like the search by. Okay, so for now let's stop there. I'll continue from there in the next tutorial. Thank you so much.